Northern Virginia neighborhood tonight over a new addition being built onto a house. Fox 5's Bob Barnard in Fairfax County with the details and a look at that construction causing the uproar.
It really is a sight to behold here on Marble Lane in the Greenbrier section of Fairfax County. That three-story addition to a home built in the 1960s that's now the talk and outrage of the neighborhood.
I mean, it looks like a townhouse. It looks like a portion of a townhouse that has been added on to a small A-framed one-story house.
Courtney Leonard lives literally in the shadow of the new addition being built onto her next-door neighbor's house.
Design-wise, it doesn't look anything like what it's attached to or anything else in the neighborhood.
Courtney says there's no HOA here, so no rules that have to be followed. Other neighbors tell us they're okay with this, that 3 generations of a very nice family will be living here. That family told us they had nothing to add to our story.
According to the zoning laws, they are well within their rights, and there's really nothing I can do about it.
Courtney says she and her family were given no advance notice.
It seems to me that when you put something like this up, you want to talk to your neighbors about it, but we have not spoken to them since.
It feels...
Usually what happens in situations like this, and yes, I can speak to it because I've never built anything like this, but I've built plenty of houses, and I've also had the opportunity to go before city council and present a case for maybe expanding a couple inches or a foot outside of the property line, or where they've designated right before you hit the end of the property line. But what usually happens in a situation like this, especially when it's not any HOAs, is you go before the city, right? And then the city council or the city basically approves, or you pitch a case with your architect, and then they approve or they deny or they make modifications and say, hey, you can reapply if you make these changes, so on and so forth, and then we'll give you a variance, right? And so in this situation, she said that she was never even alerted, but what is a part of that pitch and that variance is that they have the opportunity to alert neighbors that's all around you. And that's why you got to get involved with what's going on with your city council and what's going on in your neighborhood, because they give an opportunity from people in the neighborhood and the people that is next door to you to object or make their pitch as to why they want it or they don't want it. Now, what usually people do is they only show up when it's a big business that they don't want to come in, or a gas station, or they don't want something to be oversaturated and they want to preserve the neighborhood or something like this. But this is also the reason why a lot of people actually started signing up for HOAs in the 90s and in the 2000s. And this is the other side of it, because you can't tell people what they can and can't do with their property as long as they are within the restrictions of the city or the zoning or the ordinance, or they're able to pull their permits. And so if all of those things are missed, right, because I only have one property that is within an HOA, and the HOA is very, very cheap and it's not intrusive or anything like that. And so I actually like that neighborhood, but they prevent stuff like this from happening. You have to get approval for certain colors or whatever, and it's not really restrictive, but it's basically to prevent people. And I'm assuming that this was a immigrant family, because that's what they mentioned in the beginning, is to prevent people from building apartment buildings attached to their home or doing wild stuff. And so, but this is the other side of it, because if you're saying, well, you can't tell people what to do with their property, well, then they gonna come in and they gonna build a monstrosity, and it's gonna not even be, within the characteristics of the neighborhood. One of the things that you want to do if you are developing a property or you're building a property is that you want to maintain the character of the neighborhood. You don't want to have something that's ultra modern, which people do it, and it's not really that big of a deal as long as it's reasonable and it doesn't look like an apartment building. But you don't want to have something that's super ultra modern compared to a historical preserved neighborhood, you know what I'm saying, that has a preservation society or a neighborhood something or whatever like that. But again, that's where HOAs came in. People started abusing HOAs. And so it started becoming too expensive and it was out of control. And really, it was only something applicable to, like, if you have a building or something like that. But, you got condos within a building that you can purchase units. Then HOAs help cover the maintenance and the, the property preservation and all of that other type of stuff. But this is the other side of it. When you miss all of those things, you miss, going to the council meetings, knowing what's happening in your community. When you miss being able to make your pitch, when the city itself, the city managers, and whoever it is that's in charge of it, they don't zone correctly, and that way they can't go in and say, hey, you did this against the city's rules. Well, now they beat you. They beat you at your own game. They came up with an idea. They apparently probably went and did their research. And now they build an apartment building where they're going to have 3 generations of people. Ain't going to tell how many people going to be parking on that street, how many people going to be parking in that neighborhood. Ain't no telling what's going on. And so now the neighbors are absolutely angry and pissed at what's going on over there in Fairfax County. I would be aggravated personally because, again, you're probably going to spend more on a house than you will on any other thing that you built, doing your entire life outside of the person that you marry or you lay next to every day. And so to wake up and to know that this is happening and you could have did something about it is pretty insane, if you ask me.
Like, it's not real. When you see it, I mean, you've seen it. So, yeah, it's shocking.
Katie Dash lives several blocks away and says she's alarmed, like many who know about this.
And so I think we're all just concerned if it could happen to her, it could happen to any of us. And I'm still confused how it was approved. I think that's our biggest issue in the neighborhood. It's like, how there has to be something wrong.
It's been weeks and weeks of back and forth, and I love this neighborhood, and the people in it have been so helpful. It just feels like there's nowhere else to go at this point.
We turn to Pat Harity for clarification. He's the Fairfax County supervisor for this area and has been out to see this with his own eyes.
Clearly does not belong in our suburban neighborhoods, a structure like that, 8.5 feet from the property line, three stories tall for the length of the lot. It has no place. And we need to fix our zoning ordinance to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Supervisor Harity says he's going to propose that fix at the board's meeting next Tuesday. In the meantime, late today, we heard from Fairfax County staff that while this addition does fall within the zoning guidelines for height, as built, it's too close to Courtney's property line. And so construction has been paused. What's to come of this project is still to be determined.
This is another reason why you guys want to make sure that you vote and you do research, because this is also the responsibility of the supervisor and the people that are in charge of running the city, your elected officials, no matter how much they make or no matter how much, power that they have within their city. This falls within their guidelines and their jurisdiction to make sure that everything is updated so that you don't run into these type of problems and you don't have people infiltrating, because I'm suspecting that they can't do anything about it. Now, we all know who called the news. Justifiably, unjustifiably, you tell me what you think inside of the comments. We all know who called the news organizations to make sure that they get this issue addressed. However, it still doesn't change the dynamics of the situation. When you don't have strict guidelines from an HOA, when you don't have your city leaders as being able to take care of things, when the neighbors are not as engaged or don't understand what's going on inside of their communities, often at times you're going to find yourself in these type of situations where nobody can do anything about it and they just got to suffer because everybody dropped the ball. Nobody was concerned, and now everybody is reactive instead of proactive, and you can't preserve the awesomeness that she described her neighborhood or her suburb as being. And now you got 3 generations of people living in a man-made apartment building. And this ain't something that's way out the way. They got multiple different acres and then nobody cares. This is right smack dab in the middle of an already established neighborhood. Let me know what you guys think inside of the comments. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Teach Hanley, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. Peace.